The following program contains mature language and potential spoilers. Listeners be advised.
Fantastic Four. Spider-Man. Iron Man. Spider-Woman.
I'm a legal machine, and with me is...
Mr. Fix-It.
Diablo Frank. Like I told you, basically we just looked at the Marvel slate versus the DC slate and put one against the other, one movie against movie, to see which ones we thought would come out on top.
Okay.
Black Panther, Cyborg.
Oh, hands down, Panther, dude. The fact that you would bring that up to... And no, I'm not being a Marvel fanboy. Just Black Panther is a badass. Cyborg is a cyborg. It's Terminator.
Well,
it's a black Terminator.
I have to ask you a very serious question. Think about it now. Your favorite Cyborg story ever?
Terminator.
No, not Cyborg as a concept. I mean, the Victor Stone.
Oh, my little boy really likes him in Titans Go. Yeah, he's fantastic in that, dude. Fantastic.
So you got some love for Cyborg there.
Yeah, but it's so goofy, it's cute and funny. We can sit there and watch that. Now, granted, I watch it and I'm sometimes because it's just a little too far. But no. DC can do some really good stuff. I think Titans Go is really funny. The first incarnation of it was bad.
Do you find Cyborg to be an exceptional character within the context of Titans Go?
No, man, he's the muscle. The first Titan series sucked, but then this one is funny because him and Beast Boy, it's like Laurel and Hardy. They're the jokesters. And then you have Robin, that's the straight-laced guy. And then, what's the Raven?
Mm-hmm. And Starfire.
She's the emo, and Starfire's really goofy. It's a cute show. It's funny.
But you're having trouble seeing Cyborg make the leap from Titans Go to...
You would have to make a Terminator-type movie, and we've already had those.
So what do you want to have to say about the Black Panther movie?
Oh, dude, I think that there's so much potential there. There's so many places to go with it. I'm kind of curious.
Have you seen Chadwick Boseman in anything?
No. I saw him in 51.
How was it?
It was good. I mean, it was a good movie, very dramatic.
Do you feel good about his casting?
He's a good actor. He can really draw you in emotion-wise. You can feel when he's hurt or when he's holding something back. I think he's going to be really solid in it. I think that he's probably going to give Cap a new shield, if anything.
I don't think that teaser image is legitly going to happen.
I don't know. I got a feeling...
He thinks it's a dream sequence.
Really?
I think it's a vision. No pun intended with the vision.
Yeah, I was going to wait for you to...
I think he's going to break the shield, dude. I would love to see hints at it. Like, well, the only country around is...
well, I can't see what Avengers Age of Ultron is doing in South Africa if they're not going to have something to do with Black Panther. You know?
Yeah, true. Oh, very true. I didn't think about that. Yeah. That's true.
The dude with the beard?
That's a Black Panther villain.
Ulysses Claw, probably.
Isn't he?
Yeah. Isn't that what we think?
Yeah, that's Andy Serkis.
Yeah, no, we know that, but he's
so
Ulysses
you figure
Claw, right?
well, that's what's been floating around online. You got to figure if they do Claw, he's probably going to be CGI.
Oh, that'd be awesome, dude. The Claw.
So if you have Claw, then you've probably got
Panther. Yeah, you're gonna have
a little bit of Panther.
Black Panther, hands down.
Man,
I don't think he's going to be the Claw, though. I think he's just going to be Ulysses Claw.
They're never going to do the straight comic. If anything,
no, they will. I think that
he'll have the missing hand with the device at the end of it.
He'll end up being the villain in the Black Panther movie. I just don't think they're going to convert him.
Dude, Andy Serkis is on fire right now, dude. If he comes out in that,
how else has his recent performances been? People love that guy.
Kind of apes him, so. Ugh.
We need to talk about The Flash. Doctor Strange versus The Flash. The Flash movie is way the fuck in the future. They've got a Flash television show on right now with its own continuity. I've already mentioned that they're bringing in a bunch of Firestorm villains instead of Flash villains. I have a theory on that. I think that they're saving the major Flash villains for the Flash movie. And I think what's going to happen is that Barry Allen's going to end up running through a bunch of the minor DC villains that may end up turning up in Suicide Squad to help set that up. And that they're going to use either Wally West or some other newer version of the Flash as their cinematic continuity Flash with his own group of villains that he fights that's separate from the television version.
Okay.
I think he's going to get most of the class villains. Also, they've cast an openly gay actor in the role, and I think it'd be interesting if they made that version of the Flash gay. They could even create a new version of the Flash and let him be gay cinematic Flash. I think that'd be a pretty interesting way to go.
Yeah, I can see that working out.
I've seen the first episode of The Flash. In terms of movies, it felt limited. I'm a Flash fan. I do like The Flash. I love Jeff Johns' run on The Flash. I thought it was very well written. But again, he's a guy that just runs really fast. You'd have to do a rogue film. Doctor Strange, there's so much you can do with him. We're talking about a character who goes to other planes of existences and sees alternate universes. Oh, that shit could explode, dude. That's going to just blow up. Mind-blowing. Just depends on what kind of movie they make. I mean, is it going to be a straight sci-fi?
I think they're actually going to go for something closer to horror.
You think so?
I think it's going to be action horror.
I would love to see something like that. I want to see.
He has no basis to think that.
No, I do. The director.
You have no basis to think that.
No, the director. Scott Derrickson has pretty much only directed horror movies so far. And then he did Sinister, which had me hoping, anybody would be better for me than Benedict Cumberbatch. But Ethan Hawke was getting bandied about because he'd been in Sinister, which was directed by Scott Derrickson. And the guy does good horror movies. And I like Sinister. I thought it was a solid flick. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I'd recommend it. I think you especially would love the ending. How do you feel about... Have you ever seen Benedict Cumberbatch in anything?
What did I just see not too long ago with him in it?
Into Darkness?
What was that one?
Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. Con! Yeah.
I still haven't seen it, frankly.
It's a good action movie.
Yeah, it's a good action movie.
Now, here's the thing. If you'd asked me this a few weeks ago, obviously I'd be totally in favor of Doctor Strange. They've cast, or they haven't cast, thank God, they haven't signed a contract yet. Benedict Cumberbatch, the single most boring possible person they could have cast, the most obvious person they could have cast, which at some point we'll have to go into in depth, but I don't want to go into it too much right now.
Oh, they're going to go to it now.
Here's the okay. Well, I'll go into it a little bit. The problem with Benedict Cumberbatch, he is a perfect person for someone to cast as Doctor Strange if they're wanting to cast their mental impression of what a superhero magician would be.
We talked about this. Remember how Wizard used to do their cast your movie, and it would basically just be a bunch of actors that looked like different characters in the movies. You didn't care about the personality, how good an actor they were.
Like Wizard Magazine was always wanting to cast wrestlers because they were big muscular guys who kind of looked like the heroes.
Right, or they'd always have a blonde supermodel to play a blonde. This is the Wizard Magazine casting of Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about too was that Doctor Strange is our magician. He's our American magician. I think that's kind of the direction you have to take it in. You have to Americanize the concept of a wizard. It helps you to get to Doctor Strange. If you go straight to the British guy, who was like the only British guy who didn't appear in one of the Harry Potter movies. Literally, I think every other British actor appears in one of those movies except him. So you get the British guy, and he's going to be doing typical British guy shit. Have you ever seen Sherlock?
Nope.
Okay show, but not seen by a lot of people. Benedict Cumberbatch is not well known in the United States. He's well known amongst Anglophiles who get BBC America, but I guarantee more Americans see Johnny Lee Miller in Elementary than have ever seen or even heard of Sherlock or Benedict Cumberbatch. So he's got no name recognition in the States for the most part, except for that internet fame that he's got, which always translates to big box office. Snakes on a plane kind of thing.
Right.
And he's playing the exact sort of character you'd expect him to play. And if you don't know anything about Strange, if all you know is he's a superhero with magical powers, perfect guy. If you've read anything with that character, you know that you have to get a certain kind of actor. And it doesn't have to be any particular race or anything like that. It just, you have to have a certain feel. And he's got to be American. He's got to be a Yankee. You've got to come at magic from a different angle.
This has come up a few times in the podcast, and every time you denounce Benedict Cumberbatch, I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, why? It seems like a no-brainer, right? Mm-hmm. We had this discussion a few weeks ago, like just on the phone. We were talking, and I was like, you know what? He's right. If you cast Benedict Cumberbatch, you're trying to make Marvel's Harry Potter. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make it Harry Potter. I cannot picture Benedict Cumberbatch in anything in some stupid fucking castle or some old-ass Hogwarts-style home. Doctor Strange had a badass magic palace in the middle of Greenwich Village. Right there, you can't stick Benedict Cumberbatch in the middle of fucking Greenwich Village, New York. You're trying to make Doctor Strange Harry Potter. Doctor Strange isn't Harry Potter. I'm now off the Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah. You've changed my mentality. I totally understand now. Yeah. Doctor Strange is hip. He's got the cool 70s vibe, the dope pad in New York, and he's American. Like you said, he's American. Not all fucking wizards are Brits with wands.
You've got the sorcery paradigm, and on one end of it, you've got the Harry Potter shit, where you're totally playing the magic straight, and it's wizards and wands and magic brooms and cloaks of invisibility and all that kind of shit. And the other end, you've got John Constantine, who is street level, he's dirty, he cuts deals with devils, all the magic that he has is small scale type shit, and he's this little David amongst the Goliaths of the metaphysical world. Doctor Strange has to fall in between those two.
Here's an interesting question that we haven't talked about yet. How the fuck are they going to tie Doctor Strange in with any of these other movies? Because they have to, right?
Yeah, well,
that's where I'm starting to get a little bit worried.
You can definitely tie Doctor Strange in, but the way most people approach the character, they don't see him as a solo character who has his own book and his own universe with supporting cast and everything else. Most people look at Doctor Strange and they see him as the mystical guy that Spider-Man goes to when he's got a magic problem. That's what he does. So I think that you make the Doctor Strange movie and it's going to be much more of a standalone than the other ones, the way Guardians was, where if it doesn't work out, it doesn't take a bunch of other movies down with it. And of course, you're going to have Doctor Strange show up in Infinity War. That's going to be more about the Marvel universe as opposed to just the Avengers. Despite them having Doctor Strange be an Avenger in recent years, he's not an Avenger. It's one of those things I hate. Daredevil, Spider-Man, Wolverine, if you think he's Avenger, fuck off. You're wrong. That's the kind of shit that broke the Marvel Universe for me. When you say that Bucky Barnes is still alive, so not even Bucky can stay dead, and that those type of characters are Avengers, then you've just broken the entire universe for me. My brain doesn't work on that. What I like about having Doctor Strange introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, since he's not an Avenger, since he does not fit in the world that they've established in Marvel so far, he's going to have to be somewhat separated. He's going to have to be somewhat isolated. You're going to have to create constructs that work with him in the metaphysical plane, and therefore you're going to create a Marvel universe rather than the Avengers and their solo movies, which is what we've had so far. With the exception of Guardians, everything has been the Avengers and their solo movies in that specific impression of what the Marvel Universe is. But what's great about comic book universes, either one of them, in the terms of the big two, is that they're much bigger than that conception. The DC Universe is not the Justice League. The Marvel Universe is not the Avengers. They are a particular important part of that universe, but the universe is more than them. If you're going to do something like Infinity War, you need to be able to bring in stuff that is not the Avengers. It's bigger or different than, and Doctor Strange provides that.
I think it's going to be tricky.
Oh, it's going to be tricky, but fuck, everything they've tried to do has been tricky so far, and it's been amazing how close to the mark they've come. Even in the instances where I don't think they nailed it, it still worked. You know, they still made some pretty good money and some fans.
Yeah, I guess I just hadn't thought about it because, I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you Doctor Strange is not an Avenger, which is why I've had so little contact with that character. I don't read the books Doctor Strange crosses into. The only movies being made now are books that I read. I know Ant-Man, I know the Avengers, I know Thor, I know Cap, I know Hulk, I know Iron Man. Man, Doctor Strange doesn't even guest appear in those books.
Most of the Avengers stuff that you read, he was usually a defender at that time.
Right.
So he had his own team doing their own thing without having him get involved with the Avengers.
So yeah, I guess I just hadn't thought about that until now. They've got to somehow tie it in. I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I know you just went on your spiel there. I still can't picture it.
Fuck, where were we? I lost my
So Flash.
How do you feel about the casting on the Flash? Ezra Miller. Are you familiar with that actor?
No, I'm not.
He was in Birds of Being a Wallflower. He's openly gay, and I think that's going to maybe play into how he's used in the movie. But regardless, he's a pretty fella, and I think the girls are going to like him.
So one of the other little happy boys. I don't know. There's the Flash. I mean, really, I can see a movie, not a franchise.
You're saying a movie?
Yeah, like I told you, what I've read from Jeff Johns, he had a cool rogue gallery, but he just runs really fast. And to me,
now, this would be the Wally West version that you...
Yeah, Wally West.
Yeah.
The only true interesting villains of his that I ever found was like Reverse Flash and Captain Cold. They were always very interesting. But Captain Cold was only interesting because he was this bitter, almost war-torn character. You had Mirror Master, who was a cocaine addict, which I always thought was kind of cool. I don't know. And I hate to say it over and over, but it just feels like it was tacked on at the end. Marvel's doing all these damn movies. Come on, guys. What can we do? Let's just tack on a Flash movie.
Well, we're going to have 2 Quicksilvers before we have a cinematic Flash.
And a good Quicksilver? I don't know about this new one.
I enjoyed the version that they had in Days of Future Past. But
you finally watched it?
The first 45 minutes of it are incredible. Loved it. For the first 45 minutes, that was on track to being the best X-Men movie of all time.
You read like, the time travel stuff? You were like,
all that was great. No, I did it. The first 45 minutes, great. The second half of the movie, it just can't keep up that sweetness. It's so good in the beginning.
They didn't have a good resolution to it. I agree with you. The first half, I loved it. The Quicksilver part, I thought was fantastic.
And that was right there before it takes the plunge. It's like the peak, and then it goes down.
I remember when that happened in theater, the theater exploded with laughter. People were just laughing their ass off.
Of course, we managed to get way off fucking track. The point was the Flash.
Normal conversation for us.
Yeah, the Flash, though.
If I was going to go between the Flash and Doctor Strange, I see too much potential with Doctor Strange. The Flash feels very limited to me because, again, he runs really fast in his own city. He can run around the world. I mean, he can do stuff fast. And that's it. So it's going to be a very fast episode.
You're going to need a visionary director who can figure out ways to make it more interesting.
Really just.
It's one thing to have a great sequence in a movie and have that be super speed. When you're going to film 90 minutes of super speed tales,
you're just going to have that really one scene from Days of Future Past over and over and over and over and over to make a decent movie. Yeah. But that's what they're going to do. With Doctor Strange, he's an asshole in the beginning. He's a surgeon, but then when he gets into the mysticism stuff, you can just go anywhere. You can literally have him hanging out with Jesus, and it'd be cool as shit. I think that movie has a lot of potential if they give it to the right director.
Swamp Thing hung out with Jesus. Doctor Strange hung out with Benjamin Franklin.
Whatever.
Clea slept with him.
What?
Clea slept with Benjamin Franklin.
Who did?
Clea, his girlfriend, Clea.
From Doctor Strange?
Yeah. She slept with Benjamin Franklin.
I've never read
this is why we need to read the comics.
Yeah, I am now very intrigued and want to read Doctor Strange comics.
When was that?
That was in the 1970s. It was a Steve Englehart story, if I recall correctly.
Was it a miniseries?
Because you remember, Ben Franklin was a womanizer. He got around, and he managed to seduce Clea in the 70s series. And it's always been a memorable moment for Doctor Strange fans because his girlfriend stood up Ben Franklin, one of the fathers of the nation. His bald head rubbed up against those pink thighs. So
Okay. Stinger.
Okay.
I don't know what he called it.
Doctor Strange versus the Flash. I'm tending toward a draw on this one as well because I think that both the characters have a rich vein of lore to draw from. I have been very negative about the Flash as a concept to translate to film, and then I saw X-Men Days of Future Past and the Flashpoint Paradox animated movie, and both of them showed me ways where super speed could be represented in live action that were appealing to me, that weren't just Matrix bullshit, which is what I've been afraid for. Yeah, I'm still not sure that I want to spend 90 minutes watching some guy do super speed shit, but I certainly don't want to watch Benedict Cumberbatch botch that movie. I'm not terribly excited about either one of them. I see potential in both, and I see a lot of potential peril in both of them.
I see potential in both. I see way more potential in Doctor Strange movie just because it just seems to me like there's just so much more you can do.
And just a different territory.
Right. Magic's always going to appeal to people. The super speed, that's tough. Just having a guy that runs fast.
A lot of people don't like magic, especially in comic books. It's one of the reasons why Doctor Strange struggles. They don't like because it's too ill-defined. It's too easy to just whip something out of your ass. But I think I think this has been proven time and again by movies. Movies don't require the level of logic that comic books. I know this is strange to say, but the comic books do.
Yeah.
People are so happy to do the whole, I just turn off my brain and enjoy. And that I think you can pull off magic in film a lot better. And because it's so visually stimulating when you do it right, I could see Doctor Strange pulling that off and making that work for it. I could see Doctor Strange succeeding in spite of the fact that it may not be a Doctor Strange movie, or certainly not what I would want to see in a Doctor Strange movie, but still being a success regardless.
Well,
I would say that Doctor Strange's potential for success is stronger, if for no other reason than because there won't have been a Harry Potter by then. There will still be a desire for something like Harry Potter, and if you just serve more Harry Potter with superheroics, you could probably still make money regardless of how faithful you are to the property.
I say draw.
Suicide Squad versus Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Ooh, okay, so I can actually compare these a little bit because I've seen Guardian of the Galaxy, great movie, and I did see the Arkham movie.
The cartoon Assault on Arkham with Suicide Squad in it.
I have seen almost every DC animated movie because they come out with them a lot faster than Marvel, and they tend to be a little better than Marvel's.
Were you watching Arrow too? Were you familiar? Because I understand that a lot of the Suicide Squad have toned up in Arrow.
I've seen the first season so far.
I've seen the first season.
I'm just finishing off actually the first season right now. If that animated movie is any indication of what they could do with it, it'd be fun. That's a tough one though because Guardians has already come out the gate and they've already built a fan base.
You're aware too that with Suicide Squad they're going after some pretty big names. Got Margot Robbie playing Harley
But
Quinn.
it's gonna have to be gritty. It's gonna have to be a little darker. Guardians was not a dark movie. It was very light.
No, it's very kid friendly.
Yeah.
I think that Suicide Squad will be dark. I think that Warner Brothers has a little bit more of a largesse as far as where they can go with that sort of thing. But my understanding is they were going after Will Smith, Ryan Gosling,
DJ Jazzy Jeff,
Jared Leto. They're looking at for a Joker appearance in the movie.
The only problem I see with that is, yes, you can throw all these big names behind it. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good
Well, if you're only going to make one movie and really sell the Suicide Squad concept by potentially killing some of those people.
Yeah, because when I watched the animated movie, which I'm comparing against Guardians, they did that. I knew they did that in the series, but I didn't think they would do that in the cartoon. And they did a lot of stuff in the cartoon I didn't think they would do. To compare them, that one's a little closer. Though, again, like I said, Guardian already has that built-in audience.
but also keep in mind it's a sequel.
Yeah, but it's
Sequels are hard to do. Sequels are hard to do.
Marvel's proven that they can do it.
I
they
would
can pull it off.
Thor.
Yeah, but you got
But Captain America?
Two of three
Captain
Iron Man
America?
movies. Yeah, you've got Captain America, but you've got most people hate at least one of the two Iron Man sequels, and I don't think that The Dark World was terribly good.
I thought it was okay. It was a setup.
And if you want to look at The Incredible Hulk as a sequel, that had some issues too.
No, I wouldn't count that as a sequel.
I'm just saying a sequel is already going to make it difficult.
Think so? I think that Marvel's proven enough. James Gunn, usually I think the problem
Is he going to direct it? Do we know?
Yeah,
he is directing it.
and writing it. So I think what he did is he just wrote a really big story. He gave us the first half. He's just going to finish the second half, and then that's it. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's a safe bet in his hands.
I still feel like either Gunn or the fellows who directed Winter Soldier are going to replace Joss Whedon on the Avengers movies.
I heard the guys that did the Captain America movie.
Yeah, which I'm good with either way. So that's cool.
Like I said, I rewatched Cap, and it's solid.
Which do you personally find the more interesting prospect? A sequel to the Guardians of the Galaxy or the potential of the new Suicide Squad movie?
Ooh, that's a good one. Guardians, we already know where it's going. He's already hinted it has nothing to do with the Infinity War. Suicide Squad would be interesting. I think that would be DC's chance at getting some foothold in the movie business.
Doing something different.
Yeah. I really do think that would be DC's best chance. The Wonder Woman movie, the Flash movie, they're not going to get their foothold. They're going to be a quick name, make a little bit of money, but I don't think they're going to create a
You're not seeing franchises there.
Yeah, I don't see a franchise there. I see a franchise with Suicide Squad. You could pull that off.
Do we think that Wonder Woman's going to look like 300?
We have to have a director before we know what the movie's going to look like.
If they did a Wonder Woman 300 style, where she's back there like battling and shit, Grease, I mean, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be different, but I just don't want to see Wonder Woman flying behind Superman in her invisible jet. Or does she do the jet still, or is she flying? I can't remember.
They varies. Typically not. Although
They're not going to do an invisible jet.
Somebody actually took that poster they released of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and fucked around with the filters and were tracing like an invisible jet in the background of there. I don't think there's a lot of veracity to that, but people are looking for it at least.
People are looking for an invisible jet, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I get it. So you're thinking Suicide Squad?
I think so.
Okay.
That has the best.
I just wanted, because so far it's been a Marvel sweep with you. So
Yeah, I know. It's going against Guardian, which is a juggernaut right now. So I would still put this.
Financially,
I would put my money on Guardians.
So we probably should have
Well, that's why I
defined this
tried
better.
to say artistically what he was most interested in.
We should say there's a difference between financial success being a win and being a good movie is a win. I don't think there's any way Captain Marvel's going to make as much money as Wonder Woman.
No. No. Because
But Captain Marvel, in my opinion, probably has a better shot of being a better movie.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't really know yet.
Well, I
We
got
don't know how good Wonder Woman is.
So is Wonder Woman still going to be made out of dirt or whatever?
Nope. She's made out of the womb of Hippolyta and the palace of Zeus.
Yeah. I would still. Granted,
But
I think
how is
visually-
it? Why is that such a deal killer? I don't understand.
Because part of the concept of Wonder Woman is she was not created by man in any shape.
Yeah.
She was created by female goddesses on an island of women without a man being involved. And it's also her origin. It was her origin for 70 some odd years. And they just decided to dick with it. And she finally gets a movie. And they're-
Literally dick with it?
Yeah, literally dick with it. So, but we're going to go, you're personally more interested in seeing Suicide Squad, at least in potential.
Well, no. Actually, I would rather see Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, so
I
still-
really want to continue that story. I've already bought into that little bit of franchise.
So
they
you're
didn't say it's not going to be build up for the Infinity War
No,
or anything.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a separate story.
That's what I was afraid that it's going to just be
Iron Man
Infinity
2 of space.
Right. With Infinity War
No.
characters getting all mixed in.
They asked him, and he's like, "No." He says, he introduced the stone, but the next movie, and people are like, "Oh, you're going to talk more about Star-Lord's dad." He hinted a little bit, but he has an entire story already set up. Now, I've read rumors where he actually has 3 movies in his head, and the last one would be Star-Lord's. More about him, but no. What I've read so far is it's its own separate movie from the Marvel Universe.
That's interesting.
Let's open up the Mighty Marvel mailbag with me and Mac.
The WordPress blog followers, Don Charisma, Twitter followers, Abel Padzilla, Twitter favorites, Charlton Hero, CJ, Crusaders, Eel Perrin, Eternal Rage, Firestorm Fan, Future Primitive, It's Plastic Man, Jason Martinez, Martin Gray, Professor Riptide, Siskoid, Time Travel, and the Top 5 Road Crew. Retweets, Ange, Charlton Hero, CJ, Count Druncula, Eternal Rage, Future Primitive, Jess Camacho, Michael Moran, and Siskoid.
We received a comment on our iTunes page, 5-star rating from Pro Carmen Aristigui. I hope I pronounced that remotely correctly. Said, great podcast, very informative and funny. I love the idea that on this podcast the ideas flow. Great job. Jason Martinez let us know that he's listening to Howard the Duck 1986, which means he's caught up with us. He's guys following us weekly now.
Congratulations, Jason.
Good job. Time Travel let us know Howard the Duck cast. Verily, you fellows can do wrong lately. And then he later corrected no wrong. However, for me, that sushi diner scene need never have ended. CJ said, Frank and Matt competing for talking time while Fix-It watches on mute is pretty funny. I'm on the Howard the Duck bus as well. Eternal Rage wished everybody a happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and especially to @RolledSpine and @Top5 Podcaster, the hours of entertainment throughout the year. A 55-minute podcast about Howard the Duck. You've lost your marble, the lot of you. Still excited to listen to it, though. I've always liked the movie and glad to hear I'm not alone. Mid-teens when I first saw it, unaware at the time it was Marvel. 21 episodes in and you gents haven't lost the fire. Haven't seen HTD in a few years, but after listening, felt like yesterday. Frank, you spoke of covering Wonder Woman in the future. Movie-wise, or are you looking to expand to direct competitor books? Yeah, I've always planned to do a DC podcast. I thought that it would probably be constituted differently than the Marvel one, but the Marvel one, getting this off the ground, that's sort of launching World Spine podcast. It's establishing our identity. It takes a lot of time for us to do that. And, it just seems like we have more energy and more enthusiasm for Marvel material. So we've been focusing on that, but we'll definitely be looking at DC stuff and especially Wonder Woman because I'm going to remediate these motherfuckers. They've talked way too much shit about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, we gonna learn.
But I'm trying to figure out the best entry point for them. Also, I've had to slow my roll on criticizing the Wonder Woman movie because besides tantalizing details like it starting out in the 20s coming out, Michelle McLaurin has been announced as the director. She's literally my first choice to direct a Wonder Woman movie. She has directed some of the finest episodes of Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, the Game of Thrones. I mean, it's a fantastic choice. And if she holds any sort of sway on the quality of these movies, and currently they're talking about doing a Wonder Woman trilogy, this could really turn around my opinion of the whole concept of the Wonder Woman franchise under the current creative heads. So I'm really looking forward to what they do with this movie. I'm hoping that she can at least downplay elements of the current Wonder Woman lore that I can't stand and will find a character that I can recognize and enjoy. But even if not, I hope that she can create a movie I can enjoy if I can just manage to divorce myself from the Wonder Woman name.
Ange says, I can't believe I listened to an hour of talk about Howard the Duck movie. I must admit, I saw it long ago on cable, and back then I felt once was enough. To hear you guys talk about it, I'm wondering if I should give it a second viewing. On a related note, I definitely feel like a brother to Frank. I also am a huge fan of Jim, and I'm looking forward to the movie. When I talked to my group of comic buddies about it, I also assumed that we all watched it and they had no idea what I was talking about. We'll let you know if I eventually see this again. Happy Thanksgiving all. I did like the chemistry between you all on this show, even with the folks who comment here, although birds of a feather, ... he.
Just to throw out too, IDW is going to be producing a Jim and the Holograms comic book series next year, which will be drawn by the fantastic artist Ross Campbell. I don't know if he's going to redesign the characters as he's done for fan art that he's produced, but it looks pretty wild, and I'm curious about the writer on the book. I understand he's going to be a semi-high-profile female writer, but the art is guaranteed to be fantastic. I love Ross Campbell's stuff.
Did Jim... Was that on before Thundercats or after Thundercats? When did... Because it was Silverhawks and Thundercats were always blocked together, right?
Well, Thundercats came out first, then Silverhawks, and that was, I believe, a different production company.
They were shown back-to-back, though.
Okay, that sounds right, but I think Silverhawks came a season after Thundercats.
Okay.
Now, Jim was part of a block that also included, I believe, a show about Bigfoot monster trucks. And it was like a block of Marvel animation shows that didn't feature Marvel characters. And I want to say that was begun in the mid-'80s.
Okay. I remember Jim. I just don't think I watched more Silverhawks and Thundercats.
It was...
And probably that monster truck show, too.
Oh, it was, and both of those shows were pretty damn solid. So, understandable. I was a little bit girly. I'll admit to that.
Our next comment is from Siskoid. This is to Mac. A foul mood? Did you do that on purpose? We found out
No,
later.
but Mr. Fixit did.
Mr. Fixit did. Frank, did you use undertones, or if you don't use undertones as a recurring sample in future podcasts, I'll be sorely disappointed, which was me shouting undertones at various parts of Howard the Duck.
Reboot.
Howard the Duck, no real opinion. I have no real memory of seeing it, although I think I did on television at some point. I was 15 when the film came out, so already too old to embrace it. I'm a child of the 70s and a teen of the 80s. My movie watching group has drawn up a list of bad or malign comic book movies we want to attempt in a marathon, and Howard is on it, of course, along with Catwoman, Steel, and Corman's Fantastic Four. Oh my god.
Steel is really, really terrible. Catwoman is somewhat salvageable, and I kind of like the Corman Fantastic Four. The thing with Catwoman is I like the character, the Vixen from DC Comics, and the movie of Catwoman shares enough similarities to Vixen that in my mind I just turned it into a Vixen movie, and it works a lot better that way. And I expect much less of a Vixen movie than I do a Catwoman movie, so that also helps. Because, I mean, I liked Catwoman in the 92 Batman Returns, and I was waiting over 10 years for her to get that solo movie that
Michelle
they promised.
Pfeiffer, though.
But yeah, and then you do the Halle Berry one, and it's just not the same vibe at all. It doesn't really work. But it kind of works as Vixen. And in fact, they started fan casting Vixen, drawing her as though she were Halle Berry anyway. So the two kind of fed each other, regardless of their intentions. Oh no, we have one more letter. I want to address this email. This comes to us from Protexi Biaya RS at axa.royalfamily@gmail.com. Fakta Keshadan di Indonesia 90% Minggal Dunia Karina Sakit AXA Financial Indonesia Maestro Hospital Plan. I have to abbreviate this one. It went a little long with all the praise for our podcast. But if you want to get a hold of, for more information, ask me, financial consultant, AXA Financial Indonesia, Yonanda, Senior Agency Manager, PT.AXA Financial Indonesia, HP 0858-666-7440/PIN-BB. Or WhatsApp at 085-777-49-5453.
You know what WhatsApp is? WhatsApp's a text messaging service. So if we could literally text message Yolanda and ask the senior agency manager how she feels about Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
That would be pretty awesome, actually. See how it's going to play in Indonesia.
Yeah, for real. So I sent them my social security number. Was that wrong?
What could it hurt?
What
harm?
What's the worst that could go wrong?